Good morning. Welcome to another episode of Papa's Workshops. These are for Adam, Brady, Luke, and Brenna, and for all those others like to see an old man make sawdust. But let's check in with my apprentice, soon-to-be assistant, Rosie. Rosie's an English lab and kind of has fox red, especially on her ears. And you're 17 months old, so we're getting there. At 2 years, she'll probably make assistant, right? Right now, you're just apprentice. You're still trying to learn, right? You ready to get to work, girl? All right, let's go. This is where we left off. We've got the background lowered, and these are finished. Everything else is just kind of roughed out. So we're going to work on the two shells. These are the ears. So those have to be shaped and ribbed. The back has to be rounded, but we're going to wait till after everything is carved. So I've got some ways to hold on to things. So we're going to do these on all four chairs. So we got eight shells, and then we'll carve these on all four chairs. And then last of all, we'll do this shell. So we'll be able to clamp on this outside, put some leather over the shells and clamp. But this one I need as much gripping force as I can to work on this outside stuff. So we're going to do that. So let's get started. All right, well, first thing we're going to do is kind of shake this a little bit with the rasp. I've got my line. I don't know if you can see, there's a line that's kind of even with this surface here going around. We're going to get the shell to that point. It's pretty shallow. Like that. And then a little steeper on this. Eventually we need to go down to that line, so. And then we'll kind of taper this front edge with the rasp, with the carving tool. Just gonna slope it a little bit. All right, so then we can draw this out. So I've got a template, and if you can see those holes in there, I just put little dashes and then we connect the dots basically. So just in the holes where the lines should be. And back this off, put marks at the tip. And then the same thing here. We're just going to go straight down below our line, about where these should be. And then we can just connect the dots. So this curve is pretty easy because you can kind of pivot if you're right-handed, I guess, you can just pivot around, get it. I cannot do it left-handed. So it's a little harder left-handed. Doing this left turn to get it straight. These guys are here. All right. So we'll take the gouges and lower, where it should be. But since it's not always the same size, we'll have to start with a bigger one and then work our way down and get that. So we'll try to get fairly deep, then we'll kind of knock the corners off and then do it again until we get where we want to be. All right, we'll do a little time lapse so you don't have to sit through all of that. All right, so we got the grooves roughed out. So now we're going to just knock off the corners of the raised part, and because we need to be rounded. So for those that are familiar with the carving, you've got to go downhill. Our grain is going this way. It's one board this way. So if we try to carve this one, we've got the grain coming this way. It's just going to pull those fibers up and splinter. So we have to stay on this side of all of these, and for that one we have to come back this way and just shave that off of there. So we just need to alternate that way and all the way down. And this one, we're going to have to come at it from both directions. So we can just go to the middle. And then we got to come at it from here. So here we can go downhill. So we're just going to repeat that till we get it all down. All right, so it's all roughed out. I went back over the lows again and just trimmed the highs. So we're pretty close. But now it's a matter of painstakingly trying to get all those facets out of there. But I'm going to cheat. I'm going to use some files, this has got a smooth side. There's teeth on this side, but none on this side. So I can put that down in the groove and use that to straighten out all the facets. This is probably considered cheating, but this is a lot quicker for me than trying to get all those facets out with the gouge, especially since it's tapering. So you can only use, like on the low ends, you can only use one for a little short distance. Trying to get it all out of there, it's just a pain. So I'm gonna do this and then flip it around this other side, the same way I can do this side, and we can do these ends. Get that all smooth down to the line, and then we'll take the round files and get a little bit in there. So let me check in after that's done. All right, so we got that all smoothed out. I've got some scrapers that I use, this old hacksaw blades that I use to smooth out any little imperfections. And then the files, I got an assortment of the files. So now we're ready to put, there's ribs on each one of those that have to go from the marks we had before, which is why we went down below the line, because now everything is down right at the line. So we're just gonna back a little bit here. So we're going to take the V tool and go down each one of those. Then each one of those goes all the way back. They have to kind of merge before they hit in there. So. To look smooth, you know, smooth curves. So any place that didn't get enough pressure, and iron out. So we're going to do that on all of these, and then we got little features to put on the outsides. All right, we're got those done. Get the eraser, get the pencil lines off there. And then we just got a little bit of detail to put on there. Get this one, it's not quite straight. I'm just making it worse. Anyway, so there's little marks in the ends here. We're just going to do that all the way around. All right, so that's what the finished leaf looks, or shell looks like. So we do that on the other side of this one, and then the other one I still have to do. There was a comment on one of my videos about I should show how I sharpen my carving tools. So I use diamond stones. I had this granite I used before with sandpaper, but I don't really use the granite now, but it makes a nice platform for these. And really, if you sharpen when you feel it not cutting well, that's time to at least go with the honing compound. But if you keep them sharp, then you don't have to do anything serious. If I really have to do something serious, I use the coarse, and then the medium, and then the fine. But usually all I have to do is touch up with the fine. So I just use water. Actually, the eraser does pretty good at getting any buildup anywhere. And then water is just plain water with a drop of dish soap in it. And this is Mary May's method. Actually, my first carving instruction was at Mark Adams, and boy, I can't remember how long ago that was. There, 2010 it says. I got a thing up there. So it's been a while. But he had this sharpen like this, where you had to rotate. And that's hard to keep your everything straight. Mary May's method is you find your bevel and then just kind of take your stance and just kind of rotate. I'm just moving my whole body with my hips and then doing that. And then I've got a light up here, a magnifying light. I can see if I've got it where I need to be. And so we just do that. That gives a much more consistent angle and curve to it. So we just got to do that till we get a burr. Usually doesn't take very long. Not quite there. I took a week-long course with Mary May at the Woodworkers Guild, the Kansas City Woodworkers Guild, and I was very impressed. She does a very good job, and if you do any of this kind of furniture carving, you're going to run into anthus leaves, and she's got a great book on anthus leaf, the different styles, and how to draw and how to carve. I think that's an outstanding resource. And I just take this, get any burr off of there. And then I just gotta, this one I do pull it, get that burr going. So I don't know, 10 or 15 strokes on the back side. It should be good to go. That's all there is to it. So just every once in a while I'll touch them up just that much, and as long as you keep them sharp, the angle's right, they're good. All right, so here's the other secret for the carving sharpening is use a leather strop frequently. Keep your sharp. I've also got just some dowels that I use to do the inside, just to get the burr, make sure the burr's off. And if I'm traveling at all, I put this in a tool roll and throw just this little piece of leather in, and that works really good for especially these really round ones. You can just curve this and just hone that right up. So you just got to keep doing that. Make sure your tools are sharp when you feel it not cutting as well, or if it's tearing, especially cross grain. You can really tell if it's not cutting the across the grain very evenly. It needs to be sharpened or at least honed. And I use these assortment of, this is probably considered cheating as well. I use all these little bitty scrapers to get especially the background flat on these, but sometimes the curves and that. And then I use these little riffler files, and I've modified them so that like this one here I took a grinder to that side so it doesn't have any teeth on this side, so I can use that without worrying about scratching that. And this one I made just as a blunt to get into places. So I found those things helpful. And of course, having super glue, that helps a lot too. So onward. I forgot to mention the tray that we got here. I use that to protect me and my chisels, so that they don't bump up against each other or another tool or my hand. So this keeps them more or less safe while I'm using them. And then again, I mentioned I use a tool roll when I'm on the road, but just a quick frame on a piece of masonite, and it's just got a board underneath here just to keep those up out of the bottom. So All right, we are finally ready to start carving this part right here. I'll put a picture up of what we're shooting for, but the first step obviously is to kind of draw out where we're headed. So this is just kind of freehand. I'm going to curl both of these, and then there's going to be a line kind of down the center. Just kind of freehand it and come around to the top of this. There, the same with down here. And one that branches out this way. And there'll be one in the center. So we're going to have kind of the stem here be raised. So the first thing, we'll take the V tool, go either side of that, and then we'll need to lower these leaves, these areas, about half of what they are, and we'll just kind of work at it that way. I can't really, on the picture, it's hard to tell exactly what happens in this area in here, so I kind of just made up what I think looks good. So so if it's not quite the way the original is, since I haven't seen the original, all I have is the pictures, but it's not high res, so when you zoom it in, it gets kind of blurred. And, so anyway, I'll start with the V tool. Yeah, we had this stuff has been so brittle, I wish I'd chosen a different wood, but anyway, we got a big chunk that came out here, and I can't really carve that out too well. So thank goodness for super glue. I don't know what they did in the past. I guess they just would have had to carve out of it or put in another piece or something, but anyway, this a little bit of medium densities or medium thickness super glue. Stick that in the back in the hole. A little bit of activator. And good as new. So we'll let that, I'll work on the rest of this, and then we'll come back and trim that out. So I'm going to round over this part and this part. Then we'll need to kind of round this, straighten the stem out a little bit, and then round it over. So we're about there. We just got a little bit of this in here, but the grain that we're going downhill, right? This is a curved piece, so from here to here, it's definitely going to go this way, but when we level out down here and up here, it's where however the grain is going. In this case, I can cut this way just fine, but if I try to do it on this side, it splinters out because we're going against the grain. So we got to cut this up the other way, and of course there's no good way to get there. So got to stand up on a stool and then try to cut it this way. And somewhere up in here it changes, so you gotta go slow. That's probably good enough for now. So next we're going to add some shape, which leaves overlap which, and then where they meet there, we're just going to trim that. My apprentice with her toy. All right, I got about there. We're going to give some shape to the leaves before we put the little veins in there. We're just going to dish these a little bit. Give them a little bit of these guys down here. And these I gotta go the other way, don't I? That's not gonna be easy. This last one here. And we'll just add some veins to this. These ones here go up. pretty much it. I want to just take the files, kind of get these sharp corners off of there, and we're ready to finish up the other ones.
All right, this is the final product. On to the next.
All right, that should do it for this episode. Hopefully next episode we will finish the back assembly, the back leg assembly. We're getting there. Thanks for watching.